Maybe mom and dad were right when they told me this wouldn't be nothing. Maybe I should take their advice, go get a life, or maybe get a job or something. Pack it up and head back home, tell everybody I was bluffing. Or maybe I'll just get out my head and focus on what I know's coming. Yeah. Cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusion and reality, I'm somewhere in between. These voices in my head get loud and they keep telling me that I'm a fool for trusting in these wings. But maybe, baby, this what flying feels like. 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 Maybe all my exes just drinking themselves crazy tonight. Maybe I should call and say, told you I'd be right. Wondering how long it was before you realized the biggest mistake of your life, and now you're paying the price. Oh, is it confidence or confusion? Either way, I feel like I ain't never losing. Your opinion of mine, you know just what I'm choosing. I gotta do this, cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusion and reality, I'm somewhere in between. These voices in my head get loud and they keep telling me that I'm a fool for trusting in these wings. But maybe, baby, this what flying feels like. Maybe, baby, this what flying feels like. Maybe, baby, this what flying feels like. Maybe, baby, this what flying feels like.
Today's match is a battle between two awesome teams. Michael, can you give us a little information on this team?
Yeah, let's start with Sandy Svetkovic, who's the pro at Midtown. Her partner is Spencer Caravaggio from the head pro at Lakeshore Country Club. They are the second seed. As of this match, in 2 matches, they have not dropped a game.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. The other team is Denise Murphy, the pro at Glenbrook Paddle Club, and Alexis Pruses, who doesn't teach paddle right now, but she played at Northwestern tennis.
She's got a little talent.
Yeah, she's a player. They won in 3 sets in the quarterfinals against a team from here at Birchwood, Sari Hirsch and Lisa Korak, in a nice 3-set match. So I think that got them ready for this match to face the second seeds.
Tuned them up. And who coached that other team?
That Birchwood team, let's see. That's one of the greatest pros around, Mike Carrico.
Yeah, we're looking at a great match to start things out for both semifinals and finals, and actually the entire main draw. We're looking at 2 out of 3 sets, regular scoring. In the back draws of the tournament, they're playing the 3rd set, super 10-point breaker for the 3rd set. But we got a beautiful day here in Highland Park. It's 65 degrees, sun is shining. The action is happening. We're at deuce. Denise Murphy serving, second game. I think we're in for a pretty good, this will be a better test, I think, both for Spencer and Sandy.
Absolutely, and both teams are really going to have to contend with the really warm temperatures.
What would you say the biggest thing with the temperatures? How does it affect for those laymen outside, listening at home?
Well, I think what happens when it gets really warm like this is you're going to let a lot of balls come off the screen, so you can attack with screen drives off the screen and also come out a little farther when you're lobbing. You don't have to block as many balls. Also, the return of serves are so hot often in some of the drives that you can let them go through the screens and just give up the net. So I think you're going to see a lot of that today too.
And I think that I know for me as a player and a coach, that warmer weather, the odds of letting a ball go through rather than trying to volley it. I mean, it makes sense in this weather to let the ball go through and give yourself the best opportunity to make a play. And the odds of keeping a ball in, exploding off your paddle is slim and none in this weather.
Absolutely. You're also not going to see as many drop volleys, so that the points can last a long time as the ball is rocketing off those back screens. The volleyers try to keep it deeper.
Yeah, you see like that play right there. Spencer's all the way through the middle of the court to play that side back screen.
Absolutely. Takes a lot of footwork to play screens on a day like this.
Getting tired just watching.
One of the things I love to see in a match like this are those 2-handed backhand drives off the screen.
Back to deuce. How does the, and I think too, we should expect to see longer points in this warm weather, also more breaks of serve because it's harder to hold serve because the advantage is not to be at the net as much and tough to handle that first volley.
Absolutely. So it sometimes comes down to near the end of the set who can hold their serve. That becomes a huge factor. They are going to have to get used to the speed of the ball. I think it's warmer now than it was this morning. They're missing some screen drives long here.
We call that getting caught in the hand in the cookie jar. Spencer was hoping that ball would drop below the level of the net, get in there.
Yeah, Denise really jumped on that too.
first set. I believe that's the first game they've dropped this tournament.
That is the first game Spencer and Sandy dropped the whole tournament. I think we're going to see a really good match here. Both teams are moving so well early.
I don't think they're as quick as you and I on the court, but they might be close. Wow, that's a big forehand. Slightly long. What would you say if first couple games, I mean, you know, they're feeling each other out. What are things that as a coach you'd be pointing out or looking for here as they go through these first 3-4 games?
So when I'm the serving team, I want to see what the other team does when we keep the ball deep down the middle. So I would like to put a lot of balls to the center and see how the other team reacts. And I want to make sure that we find out who covers for each other when they go to the corner screens and where we find some openings for our overheads. And when I'm the return team, I want to see how they handle the really well-located lobs and who gets out of position and where the drive opportunities are going to come from.
You know, and piggyback on that, I think you're also looking for, I mean, we've got 4 local, you know, women from Chicago, so they clearly, it's not the first time they play together.
Exactly.
But, you know, I also look for, you know, not only how they handle the middle, but, you know, where I call it their hot spots. Where are they looking to, you know, where do they like to see a ball and where's the offense coming when they, you know,
Right.
for example, the two-hander that you mentioned off the back screen. Or, you know, another thing is there might be a player. Wow, there was a wonderful overhead right into the dead neck there. Alexis was on it, just couldn't handle it. You know, and I think looking at too, when I've got a team at the net, you know, that middle lob. Also, is there one player that is, you know, more of an aggressive volleyer? Is there someone that is, you know, that kind of the weaker volleyer, so I know where to attack and how they also volley as the forehand. You know, do they go to that forehand side? Or?
Exactly. So you come up with a little battle plan early in that first set, and then obviously that can change a lot as the match goes on. And I think they're all right now kind of trying to get used to this heat and getting the touch on their shots. And I think the points are going to start getting longer and longer as the set goes on.
You know, so far we've had, what, 3 holds of serve? They're making a liar out of us about the breaks and service.
Exactly.
Well, what do we know? I mean, we're just... How many years have you been teaching?
I've been teaching tennis and paddle now, I think 47 years.
Wow, that's
And I've been teaching paddle for about 25.
okay, all right. And for those viewers out there, Mike is the really the house that Birchwood, he built the Birchwood platform tennis program along with Allison Morgan, who's playing in the other semifinals, and Bjorn. They were the 3-headed monster here, and you've now kind of cut your hours back a little bit, but still have very active in this program, right?
Absolutely. And it's really fun because we teach so much together and we know each other's styles so much. We have a great time. It's really nice to see Birchwood hosting a tournament like this. This is a very big thing for us.
You know, it's a beautiful club. I hear nothing but great things about the food. We see here Alexis going into that little underhand serve.
Exactly. So tell me what your idea is in warm weather with the underhand serve.
Well, I think one of the things the hard with the overhand serve, you know, the traditional serve, that the ball tends to pop up too much, and it's the returners are almost basically stepping up and pounding the ball downward into the court, and at least this rolling underhand serve or sidearm serve, it forces the driver to, it tends to stay a little bit lower.
Exactly.
And so it seems to mitigate some of that downward angle. The volleys are hit more, knee level or mid-thigh level.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm seeing more and more underhand serves every year.
If I had the time, I would probably spend a lot of time practicing it. But
Yeah. Look at Denise defend the backhand screens. Very nice. That's a tough shot
that's
there.
and I looking at kind of as we are getting in here, you start to see. I think in the first couple games, we'll kind of get the rust. The expectation is that they start to play themselves into the match. Where I always say, okay, they start tightening things up, meaning we're gonna avoid the missed overheads, or we're gonna
Right. And I think as the match goes on, they learn the pace that they need to hit their shots. Maybe take some pace off some of these balls.
And I really like that rolling overhead kind of hit at and through the player's position that we just saw that Spencer hit to Lexus. The ball's kind of jumping into her body, and in this weather, it's coming with pace, and it's hard to control to lob that ball up. It makes it a really interesting and kind of.
Yeah, that ball is really alive right now. Sandy's not going to miss that one very much.
She's probably going to be like that is the last time I'll miss that
Exactly.
routine volley.
Exactly.
She may want that one back, but we're back at deuce here. I think she took that missed volley out on that return.
Yes, she did. I don't think Denise was expecting that right at her.
And I think that in people will say, well, is that a fair play? And I think one of the biggest things that we'll teach kind of from the beginning level on is that when you're driving, you are driving at a team or through the team, not around them. That was probably rule number one when I started working with Rod Workman up at the Onwencia Club was that.
Yep. I learned that from Rod, too.
Yeah.
And Rod used to show me by driving the ball right at me, I have to
Well,
say.
he hit that little powder puff forehand. I think we called it, so I'm sure you didn't get hurt.
He would kill you softly with that one.
Spencer and Sandy are off to a 3-1 lead. We saw that first break of the match. Won't be the last. Again, a little bit higher percentage of errors kind of going again, like you said, long. Spencer missed that serve long. We've seen some drives off the screen long.
Yeah.
Volleys popping off the paddle, but I expect that we're going to see them starting to tighten this up and, like you said, get used to their speed.
Absolutely. I saw this in the morning matches, too. We've been playing paddle in 30 degrees or less for so long, so it takes a while to get used to this. That's a good try by Denise.
Great patience.
They are really moving Denise out with some of those rollers.
But I think with the footwork, and you'll notice how Denise is kind of bobbing and weaving a little bit in the corner, and and I think the point before they overhit one ball and she was able to take it off the back screen and create offense and get
That's
Sandy
right.
to miss a volley. we're starting to see too. It looks, I always find it interesting, and with when I watch maybe some students play, what is there a plan? What are we looking to do? And I would say that part of their plan for Spencer and Sandy right now is to avoid Alexis the offense. I mean, she's got that thunder of
Yeah,
a
she
forehand
does.
and the two-hander, so she's got the dual threat.
That's right. And Denise is a very solid defensive player in that corner. It's going to take them a lot of balls in there to get her to miss.
That's a great cover. And in your years of playing, how would you say that the game is evolving?
The first thing that I always notice is how many great two-handed backhands are in the game now compared to when I started.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest things. Also, there's so much more offense in paddle now than when I played. When I played, it was more about grinding and not making errors, and now the offense is everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that for the changes within that too, that the increase in offense, also the defensive play has called. We've seen a lot more transition play where they're moving from net to baseline or baseline to net, and
Correct.
It really letting some of that big two-handers or big drives go through, like we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, when I played, you tried not to give up the net, and I don't think we gave up the net very often. We did some, but now the players are much more likely to give up the net when they see a big drive coming, or sometimes the server just not coming in at all.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with Alexis with her roller serve.
Exactly.
We had Denise up there and her coming back.
All right, that's game for Spencer and Sandy.
Okay. For over 20 years, Paddle Pro has been recognized as an industry leader in platform tennis. The knowledge, expert advice, vast inventory, and ultimate customer service will help any player find the perfect equipment to take your game to the next level. Paddle Pro is the only website to carry all platform tennis brands. For more information, go to www.paddlepro.com.
All right, serving at 4-1, 1-4. Man, fast blitz on that first point.
And I think that, especially for some of the more players that are getting into the game, Spencer, even though Alexis stayed up at the net, Spencer saw the advantage because the ball went behind in Alexis. And I know that some of my students are like, well, she didn't come in, so we couldn't go in. Or she didn't go back, three's a crowd up at the net.
Right.
But if you notice there, absolutely, Spencer jumped all over it and hit the ball in behind Sandy to win the point. Boy, and I love to see talk about kind of the way the game has evolved, the rolling overheads, the serve stay back, the ultimate, the variations in service positioning. Really, I think is in counter to this offense. It's offensive wave of two-handers, and
Right.
pretty fun to see.
And some really big spin put on the slasher overheads that we rarely saw when I played.
Yeah. Okay, we see Sandy and Spencer going up 5-1 now. They have tightened their game up a little bit. Starting to spot those drives. And if you are coaching and you have a student that maybe is having a hard time adjusting to the bounce of the ball in this weather, let's say on a forehand drive, how do you help them?
Okay, so what I would say right now to Alexis and Denise is let's lengthen these points. Let's get more balls back. We haven't lobbed well enough yet. We haven't made the other team hit enough balls yet. Let's slow this whole match down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too quick to 5-1. There's a really good drive by Alexis. Wow.
Right as you say to slow
Just
it
as I
down,
say
she
that.
rips a winner.
So, Mike, anything that we say is going to be...
Do the opposite. Yeah, I like it.
Exactly. But, you know, some of these points are really quick. Let's make them work for every single point going forward. I think you need to start that now. I think you need to take the momentum away from them in this first set.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, you know, like maybe there Denise just a little overcooked. She got, I think that was the right shot. And, you know, as a player, I think you've got to first, was it the right shot? And if, you know, it's one thing to execute the wrong, or fail to execute the wrong shot.
Right.
But if I fail to execute the correct shot, it's just a matter of, you know,
Tightening
it up and maybe take a little bit of pace off it.
That's right. That's 40-30.
On her first set point.
Yeah.
It's a good get by Denise. And I think that in order to get for, you know, we see Denise working the point a little bit more.
Absolutely. See, now you're going to get an error out of the other team by lengthening the point. We got to keep doing that.
And you also, you know, I think kind of knowing the role of the two players, that Denise, at least in my limited experience, she's going to be the setup. She's seeing most of the balls in that ad side, but having that, you notice she's lobbing the ball down the line, starting to work the points.
Right.
And forcing then the team at the net to swing the ball into the middle of the court and really set up, you know, Alexis's two-hander.
I think her last 4 or 5 lobs were straight down the line, which produced errors out of the net team. That's what you got to do.
Okay, we are now at 2 serving 5.
Now, how about this game, Mike?
I think this is an important game. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that, again, we serve and stay back, but then they have to really embrace that idea that we are going to play some long points, you know, and that starts right now. They give up the net. Oh, good lob. Just do that 16 more times and they should be okay.
16 in a row, too.
I think Denise is looking back saying, why am I driving from the green?
At 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
She's putting a little loft on that underhand serve.
You know what I love is if you watch a really good, I mean, the footwork on all 4 of these players on the court, they never stop. And, you know, they've got to sleep well at night. But it's really amazing. I think if you get students, watch a good player, but you don't always have to watch the shot. You watch their footwork is incredible.
It's really amazing.
Boy, that was the right ball.
That's the right ball.
Just wrong volume. Going that far corner, if you're looking through the live stream, we see Mitch Granger and Alex Lombropoulos. They unfortunately lost a tough 3-setter, 6-4 in the third. They play out of Exmoor Country Club.
Any idea who might coach them?
You know, I don't have a clue, but he's doing a great job. He's probably really proud of their work.
right, that was the first set. Spencer and Sandy take the first set, 6-2.
So,
And now we've talked about Denise and Alexis kind of lengthening the points, trying to play more balls, lobbing to location, maybe taking a little bit off their drives when they get their opportunities. What about Spencer and Sandy?
boy, don't change a winning game plan. I think that they want to continue to play at that fast pace as long as it's working. I would say that if they just bring their targets in a little bit, it's tough to be critical when they win the first set 6-2. But a couple too many missed overheads, I think, which are a major no-no. But stay the course.
That's right.
There's that down the line lob, that quadrant lob.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Nice backhand cutter from Sandy.
Spencer is really good at rolling that ball in the corner, isn't she?
It puts a. Oh, you almost put the jinx on her, but she
As usual.
hit the tape. But yeah, it never is allowing. I think that ball going right through Denise's position. It never allows her to get into a rhythm, and she's always, having to take pace off of it if she, pre-screens it.
Right.
Or she's got to track that ball off of the screen and really have to work just to throw up another lob. And I think with Denise and Alexis, when they're looking to hit those drives, like you said, let's take a little pace off. But I always try to get players to play the weather in the sense that one of the hardest things to do is to control a driven ball off your paddle, and the intent a lot of times is to drive it right to them and say, okay, you deal with this pace.
Right.
Second break point. No, sorry, we are at deuce.
That's one she doesn't want to drive. She's not too happy with herself there.
She smiled,
Yeah.
She's got such a pretty smile. I'd use that too, and inside she's a little angry with herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to be critical, but if I almost look at some like a lob long off of a, it's kind of like a turnover in basketball. That is that an avoidable, error? And I think so. I think they are putting a lot of pressure on them. But if you're not being pressured, and I don't think Denise was, that was not a major roller. She did what she slid with the ball. She kind of framed it. She kept her hands in front of her, hips, and you almost wonder how she managed to miss that. There would be a warm weather paddle miss volley that just, the ball popping off. And to my point, Spencer didn't do, she put the ball on her paddle and said, okay, deal with this pace and deal with the weather. have this fisheye lens. It's good. You can get their reactions right after they miss a ball like that.
It's part of this match is let's bait the ad side player into overhitting their two-hit backhand.
So it's better content. You know, you get better. Yeah, in this warmer weather, it really is a test to see who can adjust almost immediately from, you know, Thursday when they might have been playing their Series 1 matches to now. It's a 40-degree difference, 45-degree difference.
It was cold Thursday.
There's that down-the-line lob.
Boy, Sandy and Spencer are really picking and sticking here.
Yeah, they're full. You know, they've got the full shift over
Exactly.
to that right-hand side of the court. And I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't argue here. And it might be oh, there's Sandy with another little backhand cutter. I love it. You know, will they, you know, will it at some point will we see Denise and Alexis maybe switch sides in the backcourt to get?
I was actually expecting that after the first set, just to put somebody else over there.
You know, or just in the middle of the point. You know, they get into the point, they make that switch. That was a nice little waterfall. Great drive, and you know anything that they can do to get Alexis that offense. So I'm, you know, looking at those lobs down the line, and maybe every once in a while having those two switch it up in the backcourt.
Absolutely. Wow, that's big.
What
oh
a
yeah,
great get. Oh, and then
that's
it
too
ends
bad.
on that. That is too bad. What a great point. I like that that hard overhead into the back screen to make a, you know, shake things up a little bit.
I can't believe Denise reached that so easily. Amazing. She can really move.
You know, and the good news is you can see that if you're looking for it, you can see it come. The windup is definitely a, you know, it's not a hidden shot that comes out of nowhere. It really, you know, full on windup, unload.
Right.
That's a great lob. I like the pace and tempo of the points that we're starting to see out of.
Yeah. This is great. Wow.
You got that two-hander?
I do not.
I surely don't. Dream about it. And the evil, you know, and you see there, I mean, a great lob down the line from Denise that gets Sandy, that she's afraid to swing the ball into Alexis, that she, you know, hit the ball down the line and miss it wide. So kudos to Denise for that great lob.
I think that Denise is starting to lob better and better, and that's what they're going to need to get back into this.
Good lob there. See how pressure-packed that rolling heavy overhead into the back screen there. Slightly disorientated, having to move as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, little lucky leg cord. Did she apologize? Did she give the wave?
I don't think so.
I didn't see that.
I think she.
Aren't you supposed
did
to do
not.
that? Isn't that mandatory? Yeah, and you see the timing now and the kind of the entire pace of these points, and again, getting this game in particular has really kind of slowed down.
It really has.
We've had 2 missed overheads this game because Denise is starting that spot that lob real well. That's a good ball.
Beautiful lob there. There, that's what we need to do.
That is, we need a steady diet of that right there.
Exactly.
In our, our platform tennis, the points, it's amazing to see how often you go from this neutral kind of war of attrition to offense, boom, and then with an easy volley not an easy volley, a difficult volley, but they volley it, and all of a sudden the point goes right back to this neutral, state. So it's fun to see kind of how often those momentum shifts within the point from offense to defense.
Absolutely.
Change. And I like Denise's drive off the back screen. I know that in some of these, the intent might not necessarily be to win a point or hit a winning shot. It might be to get a short volley into, Alexis's two-hander.
Absolutely. I like when Alexis hangs out a little bit toward the center since she's not getting a lot of balls.
And almost invite and bait them into trying to hit into that corner.
Exactly. I coach my players when this is happening to not only play more to the middle, but play up closer to the baseline so that your ball gets to the net team faster. So you're going to pay for those balls you've missed toward the middle a little bit.
And you're stealing time, their reaction time.
Correct.
Take it sooner and has the effect of hitting it harder. Back to deuce, 2-love. Great talk about transition we discussed earlier. We saw it in its grand form there. And then Spencer with the roller into the neck.
Spencer's
like you dial it up.
That shot going.
Boy, yeah, Denise has got that lob.
That's starting to work.
And for all the thousands and thousands of viewers at home, if you were to give me a 10-second lob tutorial, what is she trying to do with the lob?
Okay, so since they're putting the ball into her backhand screens and attacking, you need to lob down the line to that third of the court down the line, which takes away their angle. When she's done that successfully, they've missed some overheads, and they've also given Alexis some balls to drive. And if she hits her lobs too much to the middle, it's too easy for those rollers to come back into her side screen. And they've hit the nick quite a few times.
There it is. Just missed. I don't know if you have any of your students that'll say, oh, if it were only 10 degrees cooler, that ball would have been in.
Yeah, unfortunately, I say that a lot too.
We were at our, what is this, like the 17th deuce?
It's a long one.
Okay, here we are. And we are live with the men's semifinals that they're absolutely rushing us through here from both a live stream perspective and a tournament perspective. I love myself, Coach. It's not your fault, Sean. It definitely just has to do
We've seen a few missed serves. So
We
far
have, and
today.
again, I think that's got to be a product, really, of the weather. I think we've got to be looking at maybe putting a little bit more spin on that to control it.
Sure.
Seeing that as our fourth missed overhead, I think, this game. And
Right.
is for Sandy to take that ball, and maybe Denise isn't hurting him with, she's hurting him more with the lobs in that situation. So let's
Right.
just bring our targeting in a little bit more. I get it. You don't want to hit to Alexis, but Denise, her offense, they've been handling it. So I think if we can just bring that target in, and if she does happen to drive it, you've got Spencer right on top of the net.
Right. So you don't need to go for the killer too early.
You don't have to hit the perfect overhead to
That's
avoid
right.
offense. What a get.
Nice by Alexis. Okay, it's add out. This is a very big point.
Wow, that's a really good volley. I really like Sandy's little cutter there. It is a
Exactly. Okay, back to deuce. These games are getting longer and longer, Mike.
boy, that is a very,
There we go.
very solid. And that drive, the first drive, again, was at a paddle. And so often, I think the average player will think, I'm going to hit a winner there. And the reality is that she set herself up for the next drive.
Exactly. That was really a great game right
But
there.
a hard-fought game, and I think that was a must win for Murphy and Prusis, because they go down the line there. They go down there. They're 3-love. I'd like to bring our Paddle Pro, mention them again. For over 20 years, Paddle Pro has been recognized as an industry leader in platform tennis. The knowledge, expert advice, vast inventory, and ultimate customer service will help any player find the perfect equipment to take your game to the next level. Paddle Pro is the only website to carry all platform tennis brands. For more information, go to www.paddlepro.com.
Wait, did you say all platform tennis brands?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Wow. That spot. And I think, Alexis Prusis, she likes to volley with the two hands and does it quite well, but you saw how targeted the right hip,
That's right.
where kind of the hands get in the way of the volley.
She knew it was coming, too.
Rarely any surprises out there.
So now the attack goes to the Alexis's ad side.
Yep. And I think that I like that look. If if Denise starts to kind of, I think she's starting to find a rhythm, so we don't have to worry about it. But I like to see Alexis into that ad side every once in a while to see, does that make Spencer and Sandy,
Yeah,
play a slightly different way.
absolutely.
Couple quick points here. Let's see if we can get back into that rhythm. Long, drawn out, take the points into second stage.
So I think it's potentially kind of tough when you have that underhand serve like Alexis and you're not coming in. So you don't get that momentum in your serve when you're putting it in. That's got to take some special practice there.
I think the partnerships, it's interesting to see kind of the flow between the two partners. I mean, shout out, Sandy did a great job there after a fault. Just kind of, give a little racket 5 and
Absolutely.
say, let's forget about it and move on. I mean, this is a game of errors, and we all make mistakes. So, nice little chip drive from Denise.
I know we have members at our clubs that when they play paddle and their partner faults, they get a glare.
We don't have that at Exmoor Country Club. I'm sorry.
Here at Birchwood, that's almost every time.
Here we go, starting to slow things down again.
There's that good lob.
I mean, I would love to have the statistics on, in tennis, you see the statistics of 1 to 4 hits and what percentage of points that you're winning, and deeper into the points that
Exactly.
who's winning the long points, who's winning the short points, and I think as a team, if you're losing the short points, okay, the first job is let's get deeper in the point, right?
Correct. But I think you can see that Denise and Alexis are trying to do that, and they're succeeding. These points are getting better.
There's some good offense. Again, attribute that to the warm weather. If when your volleys are popping out like that, what do you do usually? How do you rectify that?
Well, I mean, if you're running like Alexis was there, your paddle cannot make so much motion. You've got to quiet down your hands and soften your hands and try to get a little more loft on the volley and not power it to the deep part of the cork. And that takes a lot of practice.
That does.
A little change in the attack here toward Alexis.
Look at this. And I wonder if that, was that, do you think something maybe Spencer and Sandy noted that, we're getting a few free points. I don't know. I saw them have a little meeting on the mound there.
Yeah.
The first guy to screen fail in a very high voice.
Kind of careful what you wish for. I love that two-hander.
Exactly.
It's another good lob, forcing Spencer back.
Denise is really getting into the rhythm on that lob.
Boy, that deep overhead got the lob error. They have to be so respectful when they do go to the middle to keep that ball deep. So if Alexis is going to unload on that two-hander, she's doing it, from the deep portion
Absolutely.
of the court.
And I think Spencer and Sandy have really done a good job not giving Alexis short balls.
I stole the phrase teaching phrase that if you're keeping the ball deep, it doesn't necessarily stop them from driving, but at least if they drive, they're driving on your terms, not on their terms where they're able to step in and,
I like that.
So you can use that. You can have that.
I'm pretty sure you made that up.
No, I stole it.
Okay, got it.
Todd Ward, formerly from the Cincinnati Country Club. APTA board member as well at the time. Back to Deuce. Just missed.
Now you're starting to see Denise threaten to go forward, maybe putting a little more pressure on that serve team.
Do you think that right there caused a little, Sandy to maybe have to worry and go for a little bit too much?
I think it did.
Spencer's really working a nice aggressive serve that's mitigating some of the offense off the return. Kind of a different mentality than what we see with Alexis, where Alexis is kind of hitting the roller and just staying back.
Right.
Boy, that is really great transition.
There's the
Drop shot in 65-degree weather. It's ambitious, but it won the point.
She barely got out of the way of that ball.
I know. I call that the tip and tap move where, Spencer, you notice she's running for the ball and that with the tip of her paddle forward and just really kind of pushing it to Alexis.
That's right.
Almost trying to make her make that volley because, as we saw, if she gets out of the way of it, it usually goes long. And we're a point from 3-2. Must have been an incredibly difficult overhead. We didn't see quite how it happened there, but we got a screen error. Another long multi-deuce game. Wow.
Wow.
Great serve. There's a big hold. I think the difference between a 4-1 and a 3-2 there.
That's huge.
And the hold of serve is the important thing. I think it almost made a liar out of us so far, a liar out of me, that we're going to expect to see more breaks of serve than we are holds. But, boy.
I know. Pretty much everything we've said has been refuted.
It's nothing new. Talk to my wife.
Spencer wants that one back.
Yes, she does.
I do like these camera
this
angles
is
where you get to see.
angle. You kind of see the frustration
It's
on her
awesome.
face, and it's like being in the match itself. So you have Denise here going a little I formation, or not I formation. I guess they're going full on Australian.
Or they call it offset eye.
Offset eye. It's rose by any other name is still a rose. But I think that's how the game has changed too. That it used to be that we would work on I formation and kind of different service serve and stay back or floating eye, whatever. Like when I didn't have any more lesson plans that I could pull out, and that we would always work on that at the end of the season. But now it's one of the first lessons that we'll do in the fall.
Right, and you work on it like 5 times a season until your players do it all the time.
It's a nice little dropper to shake things up from Denise. Nice backside cutter to get the miss lob long. A nice hold from Denise Murphy.
They needed to hold there badly, too. All right, so that's 4 serving 2.
How do you judge whether a lob is good or not? What do you know?
That's a fantastic question. So I tell my players that a lob to the middle of the court, to the service line, is not as good as a lob in the wide third that's a little shorter. So that it's not all depth. A lot of it has to do with location. And so I try to teach my teams to have lob locations in their game plan. And that's one of the things you change as the match goes on. So it's where you lob, not how well you lob.
I like that. I like that. And, you know, I think that the goal, too, of the lob is not wonderful. He said pull into a little turtle there. She had to duck and cover.
And,
a great overhead.
And you realize Alexis almost got
I know. And that really is the kind of what's the defense against that. And people say, well, lob better, but not necessarily. But I like how, we had, Alexis kind of jumping up the court all the way to the opposite side to try to cover that. All right, we're now 2 serving 5. Spencer Caravaggio, Sandy Svetkovic. Back. Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're in the semifinals. Spencer Caravaggio and Sandy Svetkovic won the first set 6-2. They are up 2 serving 5 against Denise Murphy and Alexis Prusis. The score is love 30.
Now this is where you got to dig deep and hold serve here.
I could say I have lost many a match being up a set 5-2,
exactly.
love 30. So crazier things have happened, unless she continues to hit that rolling Nick overhead. I mean, there's not much of a defense against that.
And that target is absolutely perfect.
And like you had said, if we're lobbing to that outside third of the court, she gets Sandy hitting that overhead. It's not as open. It's tough to hit from a down the line overhead.
And that is game, set, and match. Spencer and Sandy win 6-2, 6-2.
Well, I really appreciate our time here in the booth together, Mike. I think we're going to be back on for the second men's semifinal starting shortly. So for all of our fans out there, I know we have a lot. There's probably, how many you think?
It's
6?
great.
7?
No, there's probably.
We'll be back.
We're in double digits.
Double
like
digits.
11.
All right.
We have 143.
143. Hey, let's go. Thanks for being with us. We will be back shortly for our second men's semifinal match. Stay tuned.
Bye.